It seems the whole world is struggling right now with effects of war, extreme weather conditions, or other natural disasters, and for us in the U.S., a political nightmare most thought we would never see. Whether or not any of these situations affect you directly, if you identify as an empath, you know these struggles still affect you deeply. You may be experiencing emotional overwhelm, which can take a toll on both your physical and emotional health. An extreme sensitivity to negative environments and the struggles to find relief from them may be leaving you in a constant state of confusion, anxiety, or depression. In this video, I will offer you 3 practical strategies to reduce the toll of empathic overload. Greetings, welcome to Crone House. Today I want to touch on the subject of what it is like to be an empath in a world that is quite disturbing for many people right now, whether you're an empath or not. There's a lot of unrest in the world. There's a lot of unrest around me, particularly here in the United States. We're really suffering. People are just living on the edge. They're so worried about what's going to come next around the corner, and it's making everybody quite worried. So I think everybody can benefit from the video. I'm particularly speaking to empaths because people who are empaths have a super sensitivity to the energies around them. And if you're wondering whether you might be an empath or not, I did make several videos on the subject. One of them I will link up here. I think it's titled, Are You an Empath or Simply Empathetic? Which there is a difference. There's a very big difference between them. But the problems that we're dealing with today will affect all kinds of people, whether you're an empath or not. An empath might have special requirements, a little bit more, maybe need to up their game a little bit to deal with some of these uncertainties. Okay, so I have a lot of strategies that I personally use as an empath. One of the major focuses for me to help me with my empathicness is reading tarot. I mentioned that in several of my tarot videos, that reading tarot, when we're reading tarot, we're talking about the energies around us, or reading the energies around us or around the querent, whoever's the question is asking the questions of the cards. The energies are made clearer with the tarot cards themselves, helping to keep the focus. It's not to say that you cannot do it without the cards, but it's much easier for me. Then I know the energies that I'm calling forth are for the querent and not for me. I'm very clear on my intentions when I direct the questions to the cards themselves. So I know what is my energy and what is the querent's energy. Okay, that's a little complicated for this video. We don't need to go into it right now, but I do mention that in some of my other videos. If you're curious, you could probably find those just in a search on my channel, something like Tarot and the Empath or something like that. Okay, but for this video, I want to talk about 3 essential coping skills, right? 3 essential ways that we can cope with this sensory overload that we are feeling right now, that can be used by anybody. And that's what I want to address in today's video. When we are talking about venturing outside of our bedrooms, out from under the covers, going out into the world with all the scary things happening around us, all the negative energies, all the anguish and nervous energies and fear and feelings of aggression, depression, which is surrounding us. We want to talk, first of all, which we always talk in witchcraft, first things that must be addressed are those of protection. Now, I'm not talking about physical protection. I'm not talking about keeping you from harm, physical harm. I'm a good witch. I'm not a great witch. If you have the ability to do that, that's wonderful. Not to mention, I do have some things that I personally use that will help towards that. I hope I depend on them to maybe help me with against physical harm, but it's just it's part of it. It's only part of the protection, and that is I use a special oil. I mentioned it in the past that I use a special protection oil that I use on my person. I apply it to maybe the back of my neck, or I might apply it to the points on my wrist, pulse points, or I might make a pentagram on my head and put it there before I leave. Particularly if I'm going on the freeway, I always do that. When I do it, I visualize putting myself in a protective bubble and anybody around me in a protective bubble, and that seems to amplify that energy for me. So I do use that. That's one thing I say. It's more for protection, maybe physical protection. Okay. But other things are, if you're going to use something like that, now I have one, I can't really share the recipe that I have because it's a secret recipe, but I can tell you, you can do your research on any essential oils that are good protection oils that you like, but you cannot put essential oils directly on your skin. You must use a carrier oil that is safe for your skin, such as coconut oil or olive oil would work. Okay. And then you have it, and you can find those recipes anywhere online. But it only takes a few drops of the essential oil into the carrier oil, and it's not going to hurt you. And it's going to help give you some kind of protection. If you do not want to put it on your skin, there are other things you can do. And one of the things that I like is I made this bracelet for my husband. It just slips on, and it has a sliding knot that it can tighten. It is made of lava rock beads, which are porous. They're made of lava rock. So they're very porous. A lot of little holes you can see. And they have interspersed them with tiger's eye beads, which tiger's eye is very good because it helps to keep you centered, helps to keep you calm when you might be anxious going outside. But it also offers a protective shield of sorts, that it protects your energy from outside energy, and that's exactly what we're talking about. So tiger's eye is a very good stone to use for this. So I like the combination of tiger's eye and the lava rock. But you could do, there's a lot, lava rock beads are readily available anywhere. You don't even have to make anything elaborate like this. You can put it on anything. You can put a bead on an existing bracelet that you have. Just add a link to it, add a little hook. But the good part about this is we can take the essential oil that we don't want to put on our skin, and we can put a drop or two on one or two beads, and then it's like an aromatherapy. You know, we're carrying that with us, and we're wearing it as we carry it with us as we wear the bracelet, and without hurting our skin. So we really like that. Okay. We'll talk a little bit more about that bracelet in a while. We can also do some kind of a talisman or an amulet that is very common. You can see those all the time. You can see evil eye beads or amulets. We can have something that is a talisman, which is something that you might make, and you could, or put a spell, use a spell to enchant a necklace that you have or a bracelet you have with powers of protection. Some of you may recall a special talisman that I designed to protect my dogs when they were venturing out of doors. The talisman has a mark that is a design of protection of the crone house to symbolize protection from both my husband and myself. I have that on the special tag that they wear. I did a video on that. I'll link that below if I think of it. And also, I have a spray that I will put on them. It's like wearing the protection oil that I wear, but it's a spray that I put on their coat. It's very safe for dogs. that I include the recipe in that for them. They include that in that video, so you might want to check that out. You could also use a natural form of protection found in nature, like a amulet. We're talking here about like a rabbit's foot, those kind of things that are made for protection, four-leaf clover. My husband carries in his pocket, in his jeans pocket, pants pocket, where he carries change. He is of the generation that he still carries some pocket change. When he carries the change in his pocket, he pulls out change, and most of his change, he has a few coins in there, but most of his chains are different amulets or talismans, I believe, that he carries from different sources, that he always has in there. He has an acorn in there. He has a shell in there. I don't know what else he has, but he has carried. He never goes anywhere with those things in his pocket. Okay, so we can do things like that. Okay. Now, one of the things that I was going to show you today was a real simple, if you don't want to do something like that, I have a real simple, cute little thing that I want to show you how to make. And that is, I'm revisiting a recipe from long ago, a video that I made long ago, which was, the video I think was called 2 Magical Powders, black salt and Cascaria Powder or something like that. I'll put it here if I remember. If not, it'll be at the end of the video, and the link will be down below. But I make that, and that is something everybody can make. Both of these powders you can make right now without leaving your house. So that's why I want to show them to you. They're really good. So let me show you first. I want to show you the black salt. There are a lot of versions of black salt that you can find here on YouTube by different people. Mine is simple. I like to use what I have. I always start out with regular salt, and I like a coarse salt for this. Here I have sea salt. And I just add a little bit here to my mortar and pestle. And in with that, I have where we have salt. I usually have pepper. Go together, good marriage. Because we want to make this salt black. We want to take it and make it black. So I have, 3 peppercorns in with the salt. Okay, I'm just going to grind that up a little bit, get the black corn, the peppercorns a little bit, broken up, initially broken. Now, if you don't have a mortar and pestle, you can certainly do this in a spice grinder. I wouldn't use one that you're going to eat from, use for food. But if you have an old one, no reason you can't use that. That's perfectly fine. Oh, I also like to put in some dragon's blood. I like dragon's blood in just about everything I do for protection. The reason I'm using different mortars here is because I don't want my next ingredient to be included in this giant mortar, which is what I use all the time for all of my spices and stuff, and I do not wash it. I think I've mentioned that to you before. I don't usually wash it. So get that out of the way. Okay, so I have right here salt, black peppercorns, and some dragon's blood. Get that blended as well as you can. And then I always include waste. I might have some waste here from I call it altar waste, left over from spells as part of a charcoal disc that never got finished, plus some ash from the incense that was burned in there. Everything is used. And for good measure, I'm going to put in an old charcoal disc. Everybody gets these from time to time that are just dry. You know, if you buy them like I do in big bulk, they end up dry. So, and they're very easy to smash up. But this will give us a nice black color that we're looking for. And I also have some ash from my fireplace or my fire pit that I like to include. We don't need these sticks in here. And the only other thing I use is I use a little bit of the black salt that I had from the past, and I mix that in with it. Okay, and that's it. And this is what I will carry with me. So, I have a little bottle. You saw me, I think maybe, I cleansed it with smoke from some patchouli incense, and I have this little bottle. I tied it onto a cord that I can wear it as a necklace, but you can just carry it in a little, you can carry it in, you know, a jar, a small jar. You could carry it in like a purse, like I make a purse that I hang over the door, but I'm going to seal that in a minute, and I'm going to just seal around the cork. The cork is staying in there pretty good, but I'm just going to stay just in case. And there we have it. When the wax cools, it's all ready to wear. I can either wear this, I can just hang this, tie this and hang it in my car, tie it on into my purse, wear it on my person, put it in my pocket. It's not going to leak. The cork is in there pretty good. If you don't have a little bottle like this, you can use any kind of a bottle. You can use an old spice bottle. You can use an old, like a essential oil bottle. You can use anything. But this way you have protection that you are carrying with you that is kept out of sight from other people. Okay, so you don't have to explain it to anybody. My second strategy to reduce the effects of empathic overload has to do with cleansing. Okay, we can protect ourselves all we want when we're outside. We can protect ourselves at home. But what happens when we're outside and we come home and we enter our house again? We don't want to carry any of that ick with us, right? Okay, so I basically just have two really simple options for that. It doesn't have to be anything terrifically complicated. But my first option would be soap. That sounds kind of funny, but soap. I replace our normal bar of soap that we have in our shower at this point with hyssop soap, which I make that as well. And hyssop is very well known for its cleansing, spiritual cleansing. A lot of people use it before ritual to cleanse themselves before they have their ritual. But also it's mentioned in the Bible as a vehicle for cleansing, spiritual cleansing as well. So it's very popular. It's popular among all kinds of people, not just witches, so it's very possible to purchase it. I know that there's a lot of different variations of it available. I would hesitate to purchase something that is a melt and pour. If you know what I mean by melt and pour, it's just people get these things of melt and pour stuff, and they melt it, and then they put in some essential oils or some herbs or whatever, and then let it harden, and they're good to go. Now, yeah, it might work, but I'm very suspect about what is in that melt and pour, who made it. A lot of those come from sources that are questionable. I know you can buy soap base, pre-made soap base, which is akin to what I make, which is made from for a lye-based soap. It's already some of the measuring and that has been done for you, and you can do that. Or you can purchase from somebody like myself who makes a lye-based hyssop soap. It doesn't have to be necessarily lye-based. I'm more concerned about the intention that were put into it. And I think if you find somebody like me who has made it, the intentions are, they will match what your own intentions are for the soap. It's not just an easy match to a cheap way, as no cheap shortcuts have been taken. Okay, I normally have it for sale in my cupboard. Right now my website is not up and running, but I'm going to be doing that very soon, and I will have new batches of soap available. But in the meantime, you can purchase it. If this is a road you want to go to, just be really careful with the sources. Who is your source? Who's making the soap? Because you want it to be effective, right? This is for magic. It's not just to wash your butt. It's for protection. It's really important that you have it. It's also possible to make a hyssop water, which we have done too. We do that prior to ritual sometimes, and that is a lot simpler process. And that's just a spray-on cleansing, okay? But something that might even be easier, if it can be easier, is something that we call Cascaria Powder. And that video that I mentioned earlier with the 2 magical powders, Cascaria being the second one, this is something that we naturally came by because my husband always, when we use eggs that come from our chickens, he always washes those eggs, dries them, bakes them in a slow oven, so that to change the consistency of them a little bit, so they're not really recognizable as eggs to my chickens, but also kind of sterilizes them, and then crushes those and gives them back in small pieces to my chickens for a good source of calcium. So we always have that on hand. But I have found it's very simple to take those pieces of eggshells, these small pieces, put them in a spice grinder, and grind them to a fine powder. And that's what I have here. And I do sell it in powder form on my website, but it's so easy to make yourself, don't bother. Okay, and what I like about this is it's really good for 2 things. You can come up, it's such a fine powder, it's such a fine powder that it just disappears. You can just, nearly disappears on your hands. You can rub it on your hands, you can rub it on your face and your person. Come home and wash your hands of all the guck that you've been around. That's really nice to do. But also I like to do just sprinkle some of this on your door threshold that comes into your house. So when you walk into the house, either have it just sprinkled on the floor there, nobody's going to notice it, it's just so fine, it's not noticeable. Or you can put it in your scrub water or whatever that you wash your floors with, and it'll be a good part of your scrub water, and then you can just mop your floor, and that will help cleanse if you keep that as a part of your normal routine. Every time you come in, you will be cleansing yourself of the gunk that you might be picking up in other places, which we don't want to bring into our house. My third strategy for reducing the effects of empathic overload when you go out into the world right now is through keeping yourself grounded or keeping yourself in balance. How many times have you heard that come from me? That's one of my songs I sing over and over and over again. I know that. Because for me, as an empath, I have had, this is my major downfall, and I think a lot of other people have the same thing. You'll go into a store, you think you're perfectly fine, and all at once you're overcome by all the energies around you, and you walk away and leave your cart in the middle of the store. How many have done that? Or you used to be able to go into malls. My daughter, who just recently has had this phenomenon happen to her, where her empathic qualities are starting to come to the surface that she didn't know she had. She used to love going to the mall. She can't go in a mall now. The energies are just overcoming. They overcome her. So I talk about this all the time. I joke with my husband about I can't go in the Home Depot because I had a meltdown in the Home Depot and I was removed from the store, never to return. Well, I was never removed from the store. My husband might have removed me from the store because I really was caught without my bracelets. I was really not grounded, and I got an overload. I really got an overload in that store that I wasn't able to cope with. Empaths have that happen to them a lot. And so we really need coping strategies. And one thing we have to have is to achieve the balance within ourselves. We need to keep our feet firmly planted on the ground so we do not fall. If our feet are planted, they cannot be knocked out from under us. Okay? One of the ways that I personally do it, I've told you a million times, is through my bracelets. I wear these bracelets, these two right here, which are what I do to keep myself in balance as much as I can. That's why I use them every time pretty much I leave the house. These are made of moss agate mostly, which is called the gardener's stone, which helps keep me rooted to the ground, basically. And that's why it's good for the gardeners. But also, it helps me to balance my emotions. And as a triple cancer, I really could use some help there. I get very emotional. Okay? But they can be anything. And I talked about, and I don't have to be bracelets. I don't say, go get bracelets. Not everybody likes bracelets. And I hear you. There are other things. You can carry the stones in your pocket. Something like the size of this quartz. Here, I have a tiger's eye, which I've already talked to you about. The importance of a tiger's eye crystal. Why that can be important for us. But even if you have this size would not be too big. To tuck into your purse or to put in your car somewhere, or to maybe put in in your pocket. You can even get a smaller one. But tiger's eye is really good. But also something like smoky quartz, malachite, which is really good to help. Sometimes it can protect against evil eye. They say it's a nice, pretty green stone. Bloodstone, which is the focal on this bracelet that I wear sometimes. This is a bloodstone. It works with the lower 3 chakras, help keep you grounded and stabilized. Black obsidian, this is a good example that you can see it, this big stone. But I have beads of black obsidian that I add to a lot of my bracelets because it's very good, particularly for women. It's snowflake obsidian, that's what this is. But any black obsidian is really good for absorbing. It can take away unwanted energy that's making you feel ungrounded. It can block that, which is really good. And snowflake obsidian is particularly good for women. It works pretty good for women, and it works very good for me. Okay, it helps to develop your intuition as well, and protects against things like evil eye or hexes or curses or Um, it can even, like, toxic effects from toxic relationships. It can help protect you from those kind of things. So it's really, really good. Now, we did talk about this bracelet before, and I said how good this was with the tiger's eye on here. This is very good for protection. But this is also very good for grounding because the tiger's eye being on here. But also, if I'm going to put the essential oils on these lava rock beads, that's a form of aromatherapy. And some of the really good grounding oils that will help you with grounding, patchouli and sandalwood are a particularly good combination, and I happen to love both of those. That's really good. Sometimes people use frankincense. I really like the frankincense. It will help you focus attention on what you need to focus on, which instead of going, you have a tendency when we go out and about, we're just all over the place. Okay. Something like this could do double duty. It could protect you, but it also can help keep you in balance, which is a good thing. How might we know when we're not in balance? Do you think we always know that? If you're an empath, you probably do know it, but maybe you just feel off. If it's not something that's a part of your habit to pay attention to, sometimes you just feel off and you don't know. You might say to yourself, oh, I don't know what's the matter with me. I'm just overthinking everything now. I'm just thinking, and I'm not acting. I'm not actually doing. Well, that's a sign of him being out of balance. You're just doing head games, and you're not, creating. You're not developing relationships. You're not doing things that might help with you with your job or your home or goals that you have for some kind of successful goals, for succeeding in certain areas. Now, I identify this a lot of times with tarot, and I have a video, I'm sure, another video, on how I read the elements in my tarot spread. But first of all, if you read tarot cards at all, and you have a really good well-shuffled deck, and you deal out a reading, a spread, you deal it out to do a reading, and you come up, which has happened to me, with a high amount of, let's say, cups, which has happened to me, and I think I showed you that on a video one time. It's all about emotions. I'm just reacting to everything. I'm not. Where are my swords? Where's my pentacles? Where are my wands? Where's the passion? Where's my passion? Where's my thinking? Am I thinking about anything? No, I'm just reacting. I'm just an emotional mess. You can see it from that kind of a thing when you deal cards like that very easily. But there are also some readings that you can do. I will link to one if I think of it. But you can also, again, do a search, tarot and the empath. But it's a good way to know if you're not sure how you're out of balance. It's a good way to check. But I find for most people, it's easy to know. If you are paralyzed and you have all these things you think you want to do, but you're not doing them, why aren't you doing them? You're out of balance. You don't have enough fire. You don't have a good relationship with the element of fire. Something is blocking it. Maybe you have too much emotion. Maybe you're thinking, and you're just, or maybe you're trying to be too practical and trying to just, instead of trying to just be creative, maybe you're trying to be too practical. But can I make money in this? As other people. We don't care about that. We want to use your creativity, right? When we're talking about the wands, we want your creativity to shine. Okay. So oftentimes you don't need to officially recognize it. You can just feel it. And then use common sense to take steps to put the balance back where you are out of balance. It's as simple as that. About 10 years ago, I did a video response to our dear Lady Grave Dancer here on YouTube when she asked the question, why don't witches witch? Something like that. And I responded with a video response, which is how we did it in those days. Everybody was doing video responses. But the point of the question is, so many people spend so many hours on YouTube, and we all are doing tours of our witchy rooms and showing off our beautiful ingredients for spells and our stones and our crystals and our essential oils and our candles and all kinds of things like that. But if it comes down to everyday events, actions, like I'm speaking today, I'm going outside and feeling comfortable to go outside and deal with the energies that are outside and not let them affect me in a negative way. I'm not using my witchy. I'm not using my witch self, my skills, my knowledge, my expertise. That's what she's talking about. And I want to say, this is what we're here for, witches. This is what we've been practicing for. This is why we do the spell work. This is why we do make the oils. This is why we do, have all these candles and collect stones and whatever, or even tarot decks or whatever it is that we're into. That's what we use them for. It's not just to be pretty. It's not just to make a pretty room or a pretty, altar tour or whatever we want to do, room tour. It's to use because we have skill, we have ability, we have experience, and we need to use it. That's what all the practicing has been for. It is time to let your witch flag fly. Put on your big girl witch panties and do some magic. Okay? So I hope this has helped you. I hope this video has helped you. I want you to give some thought to it. 3 simple things, but there are 3 very necessary steps that you need to take before venturing out. It's a scary world out there right now. A lot of negativity out there. A lot of people that are very distressed and very and scared and anxious, and some people are just not acting in a very loving way right now. And you want to be protected. You don't want to hide under those covers. Throw the covers off, get up out of bed, get some clothes on, and get outside. And put your witch on. And use the skills that you have to manage this emotional overload. Thank you so much for coming. I'm Rebecca. And as always, I wish you blessings.